Alright, I'm heading out of the shelter this morning. Just a tad late, but not much. It was so nice and peaceful in there. I was all by myself. It rained last night. It was such a clean, awesome shelter. I mean, I don't know, I just was like in peace. Serenity. But I got up and got things going really fast. And I'm ready to get rolling today. Feel pretty good, you know. As good as should be expected, considering all the climbing that's been going on. A little tight and sore, but that loosens up after half hour or so. I did some good stretching this morning. And what else? Happy to announce the backpack is performing awesome. It is so much better than the one I bought, the one they originally sent me. It just works, you know, because the frame is correct, I think. So as far as, you know, whether it wears out and stuff like the other one did, we'll find out. But anyway, so that's good. And I got a big day today. I'm going to try to do 15 miles, get to the next shelter like this, and that's about it. It's wet and drizzly. I know it's supposed to be cooling off one of these days, but the weather report at the front of this shelter last night said that today at the upper elevation is supposed to be in the 50s and 60s. Get down the valleys, it's supposed to be in the 80s and really humid again. So I'll just expect more of the same, you know, of what been going on the last few days. So it's a tad chilly right now, you know, just waking up and everything and being up at a higher elevation, but it's gonna warm up really fast as I go down this mountain, which is what I'm doing to start my day. So looking forward to it. Got some big climbing today. Okay, I think maybe I'm pulling up to the very first hut that I've seen on the AT. I don't have any idea if they're open or what's going on, but I think I'll just stop in and say hey and see what's happening. But not for long, because I gotta get moving. Okay, so I'm just leaving. I just spent about maybe 20 minutes inside. Had a couple pieces of gingerbread and a Snickers bar. Learned a little bit about what the huts are. Here come some people, so I'm gonna pause this for a minute. Anyway, so I don't know, I think maybe I said mostly what I had to say. I mean, met a really nice guy in there. We talked for a while. He's a 79-year-old guy who came out and he hiked up to Kinsman yesterday. That's pretty amazing. Look at that in the background, huh? Yeah. I mean, it's a good place I can go and grab something to eat. Just snack kind of stuff. I think for the most part, I don't think I'll be able to get any kind of meals, but maybe. We'll have to see. And everybody was very nice and helpful. It's very interesting. They're a pack in, pack out place. So even if you buy something there, like I bought a Snickers bar, I have to take the trash with me. So I might not be buying stuff that makes trash anymore there, so I don't have to carry it, but we'll see. But it was a really interesting, really nice inside, and would be neat to stay there, but it's a bit expensive, so I don't think I'll be staying either. Okay, time to get on. I've got about 3 miles of descent this morning before I get to Franconia Notch, and then I will be doing Franconia Ridge all day, which is some people's favorite part of the Appalachian Trail. There's a chance of thunderstorms. You certainly don't want to get on the exposed ridge with thunderstorms, but I'm just going to have to play it by ear and just watch and just pay attention and see what happens. I forgot to quickly mention that they also have the weather reports in the huts, so every time I get to a hut through the White Mountains, I can always stop and check the weather. That's a great plus. Make sure I don't get caught on a ridge in any thunderstorms or anything. Well, I'm down on food a little bit today, which is good. Down to about 4 days worth of food I'm carrying, so my pack is lighter. Temperatures today are only supposed to be in the 70s down here in the valleys, so that's awesome. And maybe 50s, I think I already said some of this, but anyway, 50s in the up at the top, 40s and 50s. So at the peaks, that means I do not need to drink as much water. Yesterday, I took 2 liters of water up to Kinsman with me, not knowing what it would be like, and it ended up being about the same. It wasn't quite as hot. Anyway, I came back with like 1.5 liters of water. I hardly drank any, you know, and I didn't need to. So I'm carrying less water today is my point. And I'm carrying less water now. I'm moving faster because of that and because of my food weight being down. And I'm gonna be carrying less water up Franconia Ridge, so that'll help too. So yeah, it should just be a little easier on my legs. My knees are really feeling it, so. What do we have here? Yeah, you know, these are all different ways you can get in, like this trail, Kinsman Pond Campsite. I don't know if you can see it on here, but it goes that way. And if I were to follow that, that would go into, it would just be a different direction to get into where I stayed last night. I saw that trail coming out across in front of the shelter, and obviously I didn't follow it. But anyway, there are a lot of trails crisscrossing all over here. Well, one more random thing I was going to say. Earlier I mentioned that I'm heading towards Franconia Notch now before I go up Franconia Ridge all day long, which is long, and I mean, it's like thousands of feet too, you know, like everything else around here. A lot of climbing. But anyway, as far as the Notch thing goes, so in New Hampshire, and maybe even it started slightly before this, but at least in New Hampshire, they don't call things gaps anymore. You know, so it's not the gap between mountains, right? It'd be Franconia Gap. No, it's Franconia Notch. I have no idea why that's different here or whatever, but that's how it is. And I don't recall, I'll look back at my stuff tonight or tomorrow or something, but I don't recall if they do the same thing in Maine, if they call it a notch. But anyway, when you hear me say notch, it just means it's a valley between mountains. So I think I'm still a good couple of miles away from Franconia Notch. There's a big highway or something there, and once I cross that, then I will be heading upward. My gosh, it feels like a month since I've walked on a trail like this. And I also feel like I'm going about 50 miles an hour. I'm just flying, and I don't have to worry about falling off a rock face or slipping on something, or, you know. This isn't going to last long, but man, I sure am making good time for this past mile or two. So now that I have been in the White Mountains for a couple of days, done Musalaki and Kinsman, certainly don't know what the other mountains are going to be like, but I have a feel for, you know, the difficulty and stuff like that. So last night I kind of just quickly went through the guide and see what's coming up and sort of reevaluated everything, and I think I've got it kind of figured out. I've got about 4.5 days worth of food the way I've been eating, which is eating a lot of food, like really packing it in, trying not to lose as much weight as last year, keeping myself just, you know, energized. My goal this year is much more about just being able to get the, you know, get done and get everything, have the energy to do it every day. So I've been eating a lot more. So anyway, I've got 4.5 days worth of food. I think, now knowing what I know, I think it's probably going to take me about 6 more days to get through this. And really that means getting into Gorham, New Hampshire on the 6th day. So probably being able to forego having dinner in my pack that day, if that makes sense, because I'll be showing up at that place for dinner. So anyway, you know, I only need 5.5 to 6 days worth of food if everything goes right to get there, and I've got 4.5 kind of on the heavy side. So really, I think I'm going to be totally fine. Probably what will happen is I will show up there with extra food still, because my goal is, you know, like part of the reason I stopped in at that hut and had those snacks is, you know, whatever I can eat along the trail like that and not eat out of my pack is food that I will have for that last day when I'm like, I've got no food left, you know. So I think it's going to work out great. And in fact, like I said, I probably need to be careful not to buy too much out here at these huts because it's kind of expensive. It was like $2 for a little 3x3 piece of gingerbread, you know, which is fine. I just shouldn't have eaten as much. So anyway, I think it's all going to work, and kind of invigorated and excited, you know, to get on and see the rest of these. I know Mount Washington is, I've heard it described as, you know, incredible. I've also heard it described as the rock pile because it's so exposed for so much of it above tree line and just tons and tons of rocks. I've also heard it described as a zoo by somebody I met yesterday. It's because there's like, you know, a rail tram thing going up to it and hordes of people everywhere and, you know, visitors and so it's not really the wilderness at the top anyway. So I'm excited to just see what all of that is about, but I'm also excited because this is all working. It's all kind of coming together. If it all works out, I'm going to actually end up getting through the whites. It looks like in maybe a day less than what I had planned, or what I had planned as my worst case, which means, you know, still kind of can finish this thing. So now I'm really rambling. Bye. One thing that's really changed these last 2.5 days or whatever is, or I guess 2 days, is the physical, you know, I guess ailments, if you want to call them that or whatever, that I'm feeling. Just the stresses. So you know, my feet, my ankles, some of the things that were bothering me before, gone, no problems, because I'm having almost no impact in my hiking. Now right now on this like kind of flat stretch, I've had some and I've noticed those pains just a little bit, which is what reminded me of this, but yeah, I'm just having no impact. My whole day is spent, you know, just climbing rocks, you know, or descending rocks slowly so I don't slip and kill myself. And so my quads are so sore as those muscles have not been used like this maybe ever. And my knees, of course, are feeling, you know, just the strain of it. They're just, you know, nothing major, nothing wrong. Just, you know, what you would expect if you didn't climb like this and then all of a sudden you do for 2 straight days. And so anyway, it's nice to have those other pains kind of getting a break. I'm sure they'll be nice and rested up when I get out of the whites and somewhere down the road and I have a little bit more of the traditional hiking that I have been doing up to this point. So up here in the White Mountains, they have a whole huge system of trails, as you might expect, in a huge area of mountains like this. And the Appalachian Trail is not one of the trails as such. it uses various trails. So like for instance, you can see the top of this sign says the Liberty Spring Trail is the trail that I'm on, and that's the Appalachian Trail. Well, you know, only back at the hut, it was a different trail. Before I explain that, let me just show you Franconia Ridge Trail. That's where I'm heading, Franconia Ridge. So 2.3 miles to the trail. So anyway, yeah, back at the hut, it was, you know, Jimmy's something trail, and before that it was another one and another one. I've probably been on 5 trails already, or maybe more, since I got into the whites. And the Appalachian Trail just uses all of those to get where it wants to go. So got to keep an eye on, make sure you're on the right trail. All right, finally come to the end of this trail, the Liberty Springs Trail. And now I'm getting ready to jump on the Franconia Ridge Trail, which has now become the AT, and that'll be the, I think, exciting part, doing the Franconia Ridge. Yeah, so on my way up here, I'll make sure I'm going the right way here. Yeah. Guess that's a tent site back behind me, so. On my way up here, I met a guy named Joe, first of all. And, I don't know, Joe looked to be my age-ish. Really ultra nice guy. Said he had started the trail in 16, and you know, did it, had to get off, came back another year, did it, whatever, you know, got to, I can't remember where he said, but anyway, he got close to up to here, and he just couldn't do it anymore after 2 or 3 years. Said his knees were so bad, so he went and hiked the Camino, whatever, in Spain, and but then he had double knee replacement, and now he's back. This is his first day back on, trying to do the, trying to finish it. So he's a little bit overweight, as he said. You know, he's like, I gotta get in shape here, but his knees feel great, and so, you know, he shared some beef jerky with me. Wouldn't take no for an answer. He's just a really nice guy. So, Joe, man, I'm gonna be thinking about you along the way for sure. Hope you make it. I'll bet you will. I mean, you've had enough determination over these years to do what you've done. I'll bet you make it, whether you make it this year or not. So that's awesome. And then, while I was sitting talking to Joe, Dirty Dan came by. He's a guy, his real name's Daniel, but met him at the hostel yesterday, 2 days ago, when I was picking up my packages, my trekking pole, and backpack and all that stuff. Anyway, just met him briefly. We didn't say 10 words to each other, just hi and whatever. But you know how it is. I met a ton of people there yesterday, and inevitably, you know, there's one person you run across, and he happened to be the one. And he's really nice too. We talked a bunch on the way up, as much as I could talk through my gasping for air. He is a lot younger than I am. He's the age of my oldest son. So he's 24, just like Tanner. And he was gasping much less than I was. I don't know why. So anyway, he stopped for lunch. And I'm on the Franconia Ridge Trail, and I cannot wait to see what this is supposed to be like. It's going to be above tree line for a long ways. And I think it's going to be a ridge, you know. So, what's it like walking on a ridge above tree line? I don't think I've ever done that. But it's supposed to be incredible, so I'm going to do my best to show you. guess I'll be heading up there where all the people are. One small thing I was disappointed about, the higher I climbed, the hotter it got. I mean, it was really getting warm. And then all of a sudden, the last, I don't know, 15 minutes, it really cooled off. The sun is still warm when I get into it, but when I get in these little coves, it's very cool. So I'm hoping when I get up on top, it'll freeze me out. So I'm gonna be heading off that way and up all along the exposed ridge up to the top. Absolute best spot for lunch. Nice little cove here. It's nice and cool, but no wind blowing on me. Nice seat back. I'm gonna just relax and let my legs, they're getting a little rubbery, so time to take a break. I've been hiking up here a long time. I mean, I don't know if it's been an hour or more, but I can sure see why they warn you about knowing the weather. I mean, if a thunderstorm would have kind of just blown up and blown in 20 minutes ago, I don't know how I would have gotten out of here. So, this is an amazing area, though. Descent. 4 miles to my shelter, I think. Actually, I need to look and find out. It might be more than that, but I think it's about right. But I'm in no hurry. I think it's only like, I don't even know, 1:30 or something. Maybe it's later, but it's just beautiful up here. I've not heard one clap of thunder all day. There was a slight chance of thunderstorms, but haven't heard anything. So I think I'm all safe, and I imagine I'll probably be below tree line in whatever, 20 minutes to an hour. So I don't think anything will crop up in that amount of time. I've gotten over the main peaks. There's a whole bunch of peaks, but got over Mount Lincoln. The masses have disappeared. I don't know if you could tell from the videos or not. I tried not to show a lot of people and stuff, but there were a lot of people. It was kind of a little party, and I think there's a much shorter trail that people could hike in on, because there were just a lot of people, like college age kids and younger people, older people, everybody, just hiking all over the place. But now I appear to be all by myself. I don't see anybody ahead. Can't really see behind very well, more than one peak, but as it's cleared up a little here and there, I've looked back and I can't see anybody, so it looks like very few, almost none of those people were actually hiking And we've got another peak ahead. They never end. And then there's another shelter, another 5 miles. You know me, my brain's always thinking like, could I go a little further? But I ain't doing that. I'm gonna 100%, 99%. I'm gonna just get down because I'm sure, you know, I have more climbing here, more peaks and stuff. And then, you know, the descent is no easier than the ascent. On these mountains here in the Whites, it's you know, it just takes forever, and it's all this, you know, stepping down, and it's hardly, you know, hiking. It's almost climbing. So I'll be scrambling for a while. So anyway, by the time I get to that next shelter, I'm done, and I'm planning on tenting there. But just like last night, I guess if hardly anyone shows up, the only person I know that's going there is Dirty Dan, the guy I talked about earlier. So we'll have to see how it works out. Taking a quick break. I was just thinking about that this day really was about as perfect as it could have been. It was, it's been really, really nice and cool all day. There was plenty of wind at the top to keep the bugs away. You know, things cleared off enough I could get really good views while I was up on the ridge, but also then it got socked in with clouds at times too, which was really awesome, you know, so I got to experience both of those things. No thunderstorms. The rain stayed away 100%, which means, you know, I mean, there's still a lot of wet stuff you have to watch out for because it's New Hampshire and it's the middle of the woods out here, but it's a lot drier than it would be if it had rained, you know, so I'm able to move quickly and all that. You know, didn't get hurt yet, hopefully not today. But yeah, it was a really good day. This was fun. I'm looking forward to sleeping. Where's that shelter? It's still a few miles off, but all right, I got in here to the campsite and got all set up here on the deck. That's the only place they have. There's a shelter down there, but there's a lot of people in it already. So there are people all over here. There's someone there. There's someone there, me. There's someone behind me. There's someone over there on that deck and another person behind on the other deck, and I'm sure more people are going to show up. There's supposed to be a huge group of like 14 that are going to be through the trees. There's some more decks off that direction, and then all the people in the shelter. So actually just right behind this tarp is down the hill is just the eating area, and everybody's down there eating. I just finished, so I'm coming up to go to bed. Anyway, I'm expecting there probably to be a decent amount of noise tonight, but that's the way it works. So I'm going to put in my earplugs and do the best I can and try to really recover fast because I got a lot to do tomorrow. So it was a really incredible day today, but I don't know how long I can keep this up, getting in these kind of miles. I think I can do it. I don't know. It's tough. I'm going to sleep well tonight.
Da, 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 da.